so here we've got our ISR traction rod. I'm gonna start with this one because we're just gonna work our way back here. And like I said, what we wanna do with this is match this length to the OEM length. And how we're gonna do that is just kind of line it up there. And then if you can see, we need to line up the bolt holes because that's the actual length. So if you can see, we need to actually adjust this one out a little bit. Now I've already went ahead, disassembled these and hit them with the anti-seize. Links are in the description for that. Get yourself a bottle of this. This stuff, I've used it all on the 240. We're using it all on 300ZX, and we have stuff around. You don't know how much you actually use that until you have it around all the time. Then you can just use it, and it's so nice to just have it. So links are in the description, check that. Click through the link, support us, and order yourself some anti-seize. So I already took these apart, took this part, put anti-seize inside, put anti-seize on the threads themselves. So I'm just gonna match both of these arms up to the OEM length, and we'll have that one set. All right, so we got both of them matched to length there. They're both the same length, and I'm both the OEM length. So there we go there. I've got my traction arm bolts right here. And let's go ahead and put them into place on the car. Now these we can torque because they're not rubber. We actually have a joint here. They're not like a bushing, so we can go ahead and put them in place and then torque them to spec. But I'm not gonna do that until we have everything back together. But we can do that one while it's up in the air. But I'll get these set into place, then we'll work on the upper control arm. All right, here is our upper control arms. This is what we're using on this car. Now, if you don't believe me that the rear end subframe control arms on the 300ZX, the 240SX, and the Skyline are extremely similar and use some of the same aftermarket parts, I'm gonna show you right now because these are the ones we're using. These are extra ones that I had. I actually ordered them for my 240SX, this car right here, last year on Black Friday. Then I ended up just getting the whole GK Tech knuckle, lower control arm, all control arm package. So boom, right there. S13, S14, upper control arms, but they're the same ones as for the Z32. They're actually listed as the Z32 as well. So you might not think there is a lot of parts because I'm gonna tell you right now, the S14 and the S13 are more modified, especially on suspension parts like this than the 300ZX are. They're super modified. That's like, everybody knows that car. They're gonna put who knows what else in it. That's why I say people sleep on this car because it has a lot of the same components. It has a badass engine in it. It's a badass car. It's so sick. Like the inside of this car is sick. But that's my little rant about why the 300ZX is so sick. And like the 240SX is definitely like a lower tier model car from when it was produced than the 300ZX when it was produced. I mean, we got all leather, power everything, 240, man. This one has power everything, but I've had 240s with crank windows, manual locks. I mean, come on, single jingle. I mean, huge 4 cylinders for the US market, 2.4 liter 4 cylinders. That's freaking massive, dude. Massive, dude. But, I mean, even on this car, we've got 5 lug on there, 5 lug drum. You know what rear e-brake setup that is? That's the freaking 300ZX rear e-brake setup. The 300ZX rear 5 lug conversion. The 300ZX rear brake calipers. There's freaking 2 of them on that one. 2 rear brake calipers and the 300ZX drum brake system. So, and you know what makes the drum brake system on a 300ZX work on a 240 chassis is Skyline cables. So all these chassis play off of each other. We already all know that the Z32 300ZX has the baddest ass mass airflow sensor for like a stock mass airflow sensor. For any of the Nissans, you all use it on different cars. This one has it too. So a little tangent, a little rant on why the 300ZX is so awesome and people are sleeping on it. And I love the 240s too, for sure. I'd have like 5 of them if they weren't so much money right now. But so back to this. So this is what I'm using. These are going on my car. So I'm showing you that I'm using these. That's what's for this car as well, but it just sometimes doesn't get listed because manufacturers or sellers or shops or whatever, they just want to list it for a 240 and not necessarily list it for the 300ZX because they think they're going to get the sell on the 240 versus the 300ZX. So now that I've talked a whole bunch, I'm going to match this up to our OEM alarm, pull these out. I actually already lubed up all the, if you can see in there, all the anti-seize is already in there. I already took these apart and moved them up the other day, so we're just going to match length and then we'll get them bolted on the car. All right, there you go. We have our arms at length, close enough to OEM. We're gonna get those put on, and we'll do our tow arm, and we are almost have all of our arms put on. All right, well, this is where we use our GK Tech eccentric lockout bolts. There's two different sizes. We have the shorter size, that's for the upper control arm. I've got it right here, and we got a little bit longer, that's gonna be for our tow arm. So instead of using the eccentric bolts, let me grab them. Right here, this bolt right here that comes on there, you can see there's like an adjustment, there's an offset, and there's a washer, and there's all kinds of stuff here. So this is, if you adjust this, this is gonna adjust the toe, or the camber, going for our upper control arm. Well, we're deleting that because we're controlling our camber right here. This is what's gonna control it, right at the length of this arm. Whatever we set this arm to, that's the length. So we're gonna delete those bolts. We're gonna use our aftermarket bolts right here, badass GK Tech, heavy duty. They're not gonna snap, they're not gonna bend, they're not gonna break. They're gonna do what we want. We're gonna hold our alignment where we need it to be at. So I'm gonna get these put in, and we'll be one step closer. We'll get both sides done, and then we'll do the tow arm, and then same deal on the tow arm, and we've got those bolts right there. All right, when working on suspension, it's nice to have a 28 millimeter, 24 millimeter, 22 millimeter, and let me look at my other suspension, and a 32 millimeter. I would highly suggest those 4 wrenches. Now that 34 millimeter and the 28 millimeter, those are whatever brand that is. It looks shiny. I got this one on Amazon, the 32 and the 28. I bought those on Amazon. Links in the description. They freaking work awesome. They match my Snap-on ones that are the 24 and 22. So 22, 24, 28, and 32, highly suggested for Nissan suspension, aftermarket ISR, GK Tech, that will get you what you need to adjust them. And if you can see my little trick on this 28, so when you need a couple extra millimeters, just wrap a little electrical tape on there. All right, so here are our ISR arms. Now, I've already prepped these with anti-seize, and I actually already changed these right here. Now, this is why the ISR arms are actually pretty nice, because they come with, down here, let me grab them real quick. Let's go over to my tool cart, open up the tool cart. This is just all my cheap, super cheap, no-name tools that honestly got from my grandpa when he died. I just threw them in there because they're nice to have in there, but I don't necessarily want to put them in my toolbox. But that doesn't matter. These little inserts. So these inserts go in this rubber boot right here. Now you can see I went with the thin one, and here's the thick one. So if you're running on the S13 subframe, you're running this fitting right here. If you're running on the S14 subframe and the Z32 subframe, you're running the thinner bushing right there. So we can see when we put it in, it sucks in and it's tight. It goes right in there. But if it had the thicker bushings, it would not fit in there. So that's pretty cool with the, I mean, that's nice. The ISR stuff, it is really nice. I can't remember how GK Tech did it. if they had different end pieces like this one, but they're totally different because they have a different boot system and a totally different deal. Or if they used a washer, I can't remember how it is, but either one that you go with, these ISR ones are super nice. The GK Tech ones are super nice. I have them all on my 240 over there. So I love Nissan stuff because look how interchangeable it is. So we're gonna get these matched to length. It might be a little tricky since this one has that high angle. Since we have a subframe that we've raised up, we've got a lowered car. We're really re-engineering the suspension and messing with the geometry. So we're gonna try and get this one matched up as best as possible. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, so those toe arms are a little bit more tricky. The best way was to get one lined up as best you can and then just copy that on the second one. It's looking good. Like I said, this is just a start. We are gonna put this on the alignment rack. We have to get this adjusted afterwards. We just wanna get the two arms to be the same length. We'll just mirror factory as much as possible. That will give us our starting length. Otherwise, we have no clue where we're starting at. Then we'll get it on the alignment rack. We'll have them dial it in from there, and then we'll be locked in. But this is just a starting place. You absolutely do need alignment. So we're ready to put these in. We've got our eccentric lockouts here. I'm getting rid of that toe. I mean, this is starting to come together. Looks sick. So I'm gonna get these thrown on. Let's do it. All right, so we've got our traction rod, upper control arm, our toe arm all set, ready to go. We're just waiting to put the knuckle back in. We got our new braided brake lines here. These are actually from Z1. I thought I ordered the GK Tech ones. I guess I ordered the Z1 Motorsports brake lines. So those are in. We put the front in earlier. I've got the rear in, just kind of waiting. So I'm gonna hook the drive line up. But that's it for tonight. I'm done. Rochelle's got dinner. I'm gonna go get something to eat. This car is coming together. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that bushing is gonna show up tomorrow so we can put this back together and like be done with it. But severe weather, shipping happens. I totally get that. But it's looking good. It's there. It looks sick, dude. I'm so happy with this thing. Look at that white with the gold control arms. Looks so good. Look, Claire's coming to get me. It's time to go. I'll pick this back up tomorrow.